Motivational Mondays is the perfect way to set the tone for your week. Everyone can use motivation. Mondays are amazing, rich with opportunities, full of potential, and now motivational. Your week begins here. Good Monday morning. I am, of course, Genevieve Jones-Wright, founder and lead empower mentor of Motivation.In.Action, or MIA. And this morning, I'm being joined by Jason Shanley, who is awesome and terrific, and you'll see that in just a moment. But want to make sure you know he is bringing to a close our Second Chance Month conversations. So we're going to be talking with him about homework. Good morning, Jason.
Miss Genevieve Jones-Wright, aka my DA, perpetually for the rest of my life.
And I guess I should have told the people that you're a character, and this is exactly what I was trying to allude to.
I always just have to say that. First of all, I appreciate being here. Thank you for having me to highlight some of the work that actually we are doing. Grateful for your participation in the work that we're doing, and I'm happy to be here, and I love what you're doing.
Well, I'm happy that you're here, and of course, I love what you're doing. So before we get into the thing that you're here to talk about, I would just want to talk about you.
Sure.
What is your origin story? Who is Jason Shanley?
I'm originally from St. Paul, Minnesota. I came out here in '86, I believe, by way of Arizona. I'm married. I'm the father of two beautiful daughters, one that is at the Howard University, the real HU. You know. And my baby girl graduated early from high school at 16, and so she's plugged into community college and doing her thing and making her mark right here in San Diego. Super proud of them. And I'm a 22-year veteran of the San Diego Fire Rescue Department. I'm a captain, and I'm in charge of recruitment. And I'm also an advocate for social justice in spaces. I've been a pastor for about 15 years. I don't pastor a congregation now, but that kind of led to the desire for me to be a voice for the voiceless and use the influence that I have in my profession, and also, just my big mouth and all kinds of other things to be able to speak for other people. So that's just a little synopsis of who I am.
Yeah, that is just a little bit of who you are. So I do love your family. Your family is so beautiful. And your daughters are smart.
Thank you.
They're just amazing young ladies. I can't wait to see what they're going to do and continue to do, because it's not like they're not leaving their mark already. But, glad that you gave the shout out to the family.
Sure.
You touched on so much, and you are a voice for a lot of people who are marginalized.
Sure.
And that's why I really wanted to make sure that you brought up the rear on Second Chance Month, because you're out here doing the real work. Like, we've had conversations around rehabilitation in our prisons. We've had conversations around kind of like reentry support. But just tell us about what homework is.
Homework started from, I was in the RISE Urban Leadership Fellows. I was invited by Dwayne Crenshaw, and to apply, I applied and was accepted. And what, at the end of it had us do a community action project. And so, and RISE Urban Leadership really is about adaptive leadership, learning how to go into the community and really decolonize the way we look at leadership in our community. So most of the time what happens is an organization will start based on what they feel that the people need. They'll create an organization and get resources surrounding their idea of what is needed, present it to a particular community, and it'll be rejected. And then what's left is, these people don't care about themselves, they're losers and whatever. No, the truth is you just gave something that's not relatable, it's not culturally understandable, right? And so what RISE taught me was to look in the community, see what is actually needed, if anyone else is doing it, and then join with them to empower what they're doing instead of starting another nonprofit, and you become a part of this nonprofit industrial complex. And so I've been doing prison ministry now for about 17 years, and one of the things that I found is that when folks come home, there's this obviously perpetual cycle of recidivism. And so what can we do about that? And then fast forward, I became the recruitment officer for the fire department, and I would go into the community. Part of recruitment is to help to allow our department to be more representative of what our communities look like. And so a lot of the Black and brown communities I would go to, I would hear all the time, can I get into this job if I have a record? And it's like, the truth is the book answer is we take everyone on a case by case basis. But many times the answer is really no. Like, it's just difficult. Not to say it can't happen, but those are barriers, right? So what can we do to bridge this gap and to bring people into a middle class income and bring some respectability and be able to look forward to a retirement and benefits, and say, man, they could get into the Building and Construction Trades Council or the Building and Construction Trades. Long story short, we partnered with the building trades, and we started having dinners. Once a month, we would invite 20 to 25 formerly incarcerated folks to a dinner at Pillars of the Community. Shout out to Pillars. And we would cater a dinner, bring one or two building trades in to talk about what they do, creating an environment that someone who is formerly incarcerated no longer has to sit in the back of the room and hope that no one asks where they've been the last 10 or 20 years, because the environment was set for them. We don't even want to talk to you if you don't have that barrier. You can't even come to our dinner. So it was a space made for them. And so far, we've been open since 2019, and we've helped probably 40 plus individuals get into middle class careers and get benefits and start working towards a retirement. And so that's kind of like our story.
So I'm looking at your t-shirt.
Yeah.
Looking at my t-shirt.
Yeah.
One thing that is just, it stands out is the me. And you did that on purpose. Yeah. Why?
One of the things that we realized was, if you ask someone who has been to prison before, and probably multiple times, one of the misconceptions about reducing recidivism is jobs. So if somebody gets a job when they come home, that'll help them to not. But I've asked folks, so how many times you been to prison? 3-4 times. Okay. 5 times. Okay. Did you have a job the last time you went to prison? I did. So jobs don't keep people from going to prison, right? So homework really was the name homework says when a person comes home, they want to work. But sometimes before you work, you need to do some homework. You need to work on yourself. And so we care more about what you become as an individual, not what you do for a living. So we're not a job program, right? We're a program that helps you to develop who you really are or whatever. So me, are the most important thing in this, not the work. You are more important than the work. So in homework, we want to center the person. So we focus on 4 things. The first and most important is life skills. And I want to send a shout out to Second Call in Los Angeles, Brother John Harriel, formerly incarcerated electrician, Local 11, incredible individual. Me and the council member Montgomery, I say the council member because everybody knows the People's Council member. So me, the People's Council member, and her husband, Steve Stepp, drove to LA to sit in on a life skills class. Steve made us aware of this life skills class because we were missing that component. We had the job component, but that wasn't going to be it. We need to work. How do we work on me? And so John leads an organization up in Los Angeles called Second Call. They have meetings every Thursday night, and they really get down and dirty. They talk about everything from anger management to money management. So I said, well, why recreate the wheel? We'll just borrow their program. Can we use what you have? And so we took what they have, and we started doing our own life skills class down here. So we meet once a week to deal with that stuff. We talk about everything. Second thing we do is want to help rebuild the family, right? You've been gone, your families are tore apart due to your own deeds, and also to what happens when you go to prison. Just a lot of chaos and confusion ensues. But how do you rebuild? A lot of times when folks come home, their family members expect them to just hit the road and like be a dad now, be a cheer dad, go to meetings. And man, I'm just trying to get used to walking around, not getting in the shower with my shower shoes on no more. And you want me to just fully assimilate. So we want to sort of help to bridge that gap, providing therapy and counselors and mentors to sort of help smooth that landing out, to rebuild that relationship with their children and with their wives and their parents, right? And then the third thing we do is we want to help strengthen the community. It's important to be a pillar in your community, right? Shout out again to Pillars of the Community. It's important to be a pillar in your community. So we do a lot of community service. During the pandemic, we helped the building trades and the Labor Council give out over 100,000 pounds worth of food. We were there. Because it's important. And the fourth thing is civic engagement. Politicians are at the table making decisions about your life, and you need to be there. So we want to bring them to the table. And those 4 things we do in the hopes of changing the narrative of what it means to be formerly incarcerated, right? One last thing I'll share, shout out to the fire department. We had the formerly incarcerated construction workers play a softball game against the fire department. And we also had a community barbecue and a career fair there at the same time. And it's those kinds of things that sort of normalize people coming home, normalize looking at faces of people that have done long amounts of time in prison that are just normal and just want to do normal things like everybody else, but they're battling the thoughts of self-esteem and depression and lots of trauma that happened prior to them being incarcerated, and then obviously through their whole incarceration. So we just want to wrap our arms around them, create wraparound services to really help make their integration back into our community as successful as possible, and love them until they can be strong enough to become a mentor to somebody else. So that's kind of a little bit about that.
Yes. But that's why I love the work that you do, because you hit it. It was a lot of trauma that they dealt with even before they went to prison, right? That's what led them to prison, most likely in the very first place.
Sure.
Then lots of traumas happening inside of prison.
Of course.
And then when they get out of prison, here's more trauma because of how we treat them when they're trying to re-engage with community.
Absolutely.
So thankful so much to have homework. So I'm going to ask you the $1 billion question that I ask all my guests here. Folks are listening.
Sure.
They're watching. They're here to jumpstart their week on a positive note, maybe finding some sort of inspiration for the week. What are you going to leave them?
The thing that means the most to me, and what I always try to encourage people to do, is find something that you're passionate about. Many times people are trying to find ways to serve and can't find the time. And many times that's because the things that we're trying to serve aren't a part of our passion. I learned a long time ago, if you find something you love to do, you never have to go to work. And so I have a full-time career, I have a family, I have other interests, but homework has been a passion to me. So I want to encourage you to find something that you're passionate about. The other thing is I want to encourage you to get involved in understanding the prison industrial complex and what it is doing to people that we pass by every single day. It is a monster that is creating major roadblocks for people that are trying to come out and do good things in the community. So I want to encourage you to connect with other organizations, homework as well. If you know somebody that is formerly incarcerated that is looking to rebuild themselves and possibly get into a career that will bring them into the middle class, send them to the YMCA Friday nights from 6 to 7:30 in our life skills class. They have to be formerly incarcerated. But ultimately, is find something that you're passionate about, and you'll find time to be able to do it.
You heard it. You heard it from the man himself, Fire Captain Jason Shanley. Find your passion. Find something that you love. Last week we were speaking with Redemption Road, California's executive director, and she said if you don't have anything that you love, find something that you hate and work to dismantle it and build something you love. And so you're hearing this theme over and over again. When you love what you do, you never have a day of work. So find that passion, what draws you naturally, and just start to do it. Man, my brother, this has been amazing.
Yeah, I appreciate it again. I want to shout out all the work that you're doing, seriously. I really appreciate you. Over the years, getting a chance to kind of know you personally. The things that you have overcome are amazing. People just don't know. They see you walk around and they may know you as the one who was running for district attorney, but that was a small portion. And I remember having conversations with you that God's desire for that moment of your life really had nothing to do with the district attorney's office. There was something else that you were destined to do, and it's just cool to see. I'm blessed to be able to see you do the things that you're doing, and I'm grateful for the space that you occupy in society. You're a strong Black woman. I love you a lot, and I'm here for you, and thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much for joining us for this week's Motivational Mondays. I'm going to see you next week, same time, same place, right here, with more inspiration to help you jumpstart your week. Now, if you found this week's conversation inspirational or motivational in any way, maybe you got a gem to carry with you throughout the day or the week, please feel free to like, comment, and share. Because remember, everyone can use some motivation. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'll see you next week.